Myles led the league in pressure rate, led the league in pass rush win rate, led the league in pass rush efficiency, and led the league standard stats in TFLs. So he had a better season. He deserves to get paid.
Do you believe, I know that the front office has come out and said we're not entertaining, the thought of trading him, but a rebuild looks like it would be the best option. Do you believe ultimately they will deal Myles Garrett?
It's a standoff right now. Let's just put it that way. Myles and the people close to Myles will tell you it isn't about money. He's due for a new contract, guys, wherever he is. So if he gets traded, someone's going to have to pay him. It's really a year plus a void year left on his deal, but the cash this year is roughly $20 million. The way they've spread out bonuses, though, if they were to trade him today, the cap hit is like $37 or $38 million. So it's not a clean 20 and they're out. But the guaranteed money, for all intents and purposes, is done. So he's worth well north of 40. He deserves to be the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. For my money, he is the best player on the defensive side of the football in the NFL. He won DPOY last year, and this year most of his advanced metrics are actually better. Trey Hendrickson, who's a great player and may very well win the award on Thursday, led the league in sacks. He had 3.5 in Week 18 to break the tie with Myles there at 14. But Myles had the best. Now, look, there are two sets of stats here. There's PFF, and then there's the NFL Pro, NGS, Next Gen Stats. So there's two different sets of advanced metrics here. But if you go on the PFF numbers, Myles led the league in pressure rate, led the league in pass rush win rate, led the league in pass rush efficiency, and led the league standard stats in TFLs. So he had a better season. He deserves to get paid. The Browns' best way to handle it is to give him a massive new contract to spread out the cap hit. With Deshaun's contract, they're really strapped on the cap. They're severely over, although they're going to get some relief. They don't want to trade him. They will point to, and I will point to the Commanders and say that they were a 4-win team a year ago. They had the second overall pick. They found the right quarterback. They turned things around. Now, is there a Jaden Daniels in this draft? I don't know. I don't think any of us know. There isn't a Caleb, Jaden, Drake, May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix pick your own adventure kind of thing, and it may be harder to turn it around quickly. But the Browns know that they have, still a good offensive line, and David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy and some very good pieces defensively that they think that they are not far removed. There's some bad luck and some injuries away from a team that went to the playoffs a year ago.
Andrew, I know you're very focused on Cleveland, but you still follow the league closely, and you have that perspective from doing what you did for so many years. So when I bring up the Bears and Myles Garrett, this is a lot of people in Chicago reference what happened to the Bears after the 2017 season. They replaced John Fox with a first-time head coach in Matt Nagy. They were coming off a 5-11 year. Sound familiar? And they went out and they traded 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack, and it vaulted them to a 12-4 season. But after that year, it didn't go as great because Mack was banged up. And then, of course, Mitch Trubisky didn't turn out to be the quarterback that everyone wanted him to be. So people are gun-shy about making that move again. If you were the Bears, would you look to trade for a guy like Myles Garrett, or would you focus everything on making Caleb Williams a better player on the offensive line?
Myles Garrett makes every single team of the NFL a better football team. So I would say that all 32 teams should want Myles Garrett. He's amazing in the community. He is far more than just a football player. He digs wells in East Africa. He wants to start a charity raising money for muscular dystrophy research after his grandmother fought that horrible disease. He reads poetry and philosophy in his free time. He's a great teammate, a great presence in the locker room, and he's the best defensive player in the NFL. So I will make a case that every team should want Myles Garrett. If the Browns truly do want to trade him, which I can tell you right now they don't want to trade him. And so it's going to be fascinating to see how this standoff plays out, because the people next to Myles or close to Myles would say, hey, this isn't just about a contract. We don't just want a contract. We want to go someplace where we could win a championship right now. Is that place Chicago? I don't know. I think you also have to ask the question, does he want to go to Chicago? It's a great town. I love Chicago. Does he think that with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the pieces they have, that this is a team ready to win a championship? I can't answer that for him. I think they're an exciting team this coming season. When you look at the draft capital, I would love, if you have to make the deal, I would love to have the 10th overall pick as opposed to a team that is, one that went deep in the postseason. People say the Bills, the Commanders, that's great. I don't want 30 this year and 30 next year. If I truly had to trade them, I'd want more of what the Bears are selling, which is 10 this year and who knows next year.
It's very interesting, and the way that you've described him, he sounds like a great guy, and I agree with you. I think he's the best defensive player.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
So do you believe if, in fact, again, this is all hypothetical, that somebody gives them an offer they can't refuse, they will try to steer him, or they would try to make something work where you're not sending him to Jacksonville. He wants to leave Cleveland because he wants to win. Would they try to accommodate that?
I think they would. Right now, they don't want to trade him. But look, guys, the timeline here is really interesting because Myles has always said he doesn't want to leave, right? Wants to end his career in Cleveland. Was adamant, even early in the season this year, before things truly took a turn. It was late in the season when he said, "Hey, I want to hear the plan. I want to reevaluate things," after talking to ownership or talking to everybody. When the exit interviews on the way out after Week 18, and there's a scene in the final episode of Hard Knocks. Well, the final one for the teams that didn't make the playoffs would be the Browns and the Bengals, in which Myles says on camera, "I think we're a lot closer than people outside the building believe." And the question is, and not trying to play NFL Films detective here, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, though, to be honest, is when did he say that? Did he say that after the exit interview?
Right.
Or did he say it before the exit interview? If he said it after, then that leads you to believe that things were going nice and smooth. Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, on the Monday after the season said, "We don't want Myles to go anywhere, and we'd love him to go from Canton to Cleveland or Cleveland to Canton," which is a great story. And then last week at the Senior Bowl, Andrew Berry reiterated that again. Now, the kicker turned into, or what was different this time, is that Zach Jackson of The Athletic said, "What if somebody offered you 2 first-round picks?" I was sitting right there, and he goes, "Don't want 2 first-round picks." I flippantly said, "How about 3?" Like that. He didn't hear me. AB didn't hear me. But look, the message is the same. We don't want to trade him. So the question is, when did the request actually get to the front office? Like, hey, I want out of here, and why? What changed things? What went from I think we're close to I don't think we're close anymore? Because you could turn things around pretty quickly in this league. The Browns right now are going to say we don't want to trade him. But now that the phone rings, and I know for a fact the phone has rung in years past, because that's what GMs do. It's Ryan Pohl's job. It's every GM's job to, just like you in your fantasy league, to call up your buddy and go, "Hey, would you ever consider?" But now every team is going to.
Yeah. If you had to place a wager, Andrew, on who would be under center for you guys next year, who would it be?
I got no idea. That's the question. Like AB said last week, I have no patience. I wish I knew. Like I wish I could tell you the answer right now. I think the easiest answer is they're going to sign a veteran March 12th, and they're going to draft somebody as well. Do you convince a Kirk Cousins to do what Russell Wilson did, which is in essence play for free, assuming he gets cut by the Falcons? Do you want to come here, reunite with Kevin Stefanski, who is your OC in Minneapolis, and your quarterback coach as well, and basically play for the veteran minimum of 1.1 and have the Falcons pay the rest? Outdoors, bad weather in December. Would you do that, or would they go try to find a different bridge? The problem is, again, with the cap, the Browns don't have the money to go, "Hey, Sam Darnold, how about 25 for 1 year, and we'll see where it goes." They don't have that flexibility. So it's a veteran of some kind, maybe a Justin Fields, and then a quarterback. Do they trust the quarterbacks at 2, or do they go like mid-range and go Kyle McCord, Will Howard in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round? They have 2 third-round picks. They got 1 for Amari Cooper, and do it that way.
Who do you believe Caleb Williams will be most like when he's a finished product that's currently in the NFL?
Ooh, that's a good one. Who would, like build a quarterback, who would Caleb Williams be most like? Jaden Daniels. No, I'm kidding.
Not fair.
Who would he be most like? I don't know. That's a tough comparison. I'd have to think about that. Can I get back to you on that one?
Text me. Think about that. Like, walk
That's
around.
a great
Are you at the
thought
Super Bowl
experiment.
now? Are you like at the convention
No, I'm
center?
leaving tomorrow morning. You
Okay.
actually caught me walking around the mall trying to buy a couple of things
The
before I left.
mall?
It's like it's an annual tradition. It's like, do I have all the clothes I need? And then I'm going to go to the mall and buy a couple of things. Then I buy a couple of things and then never wear them because I get them at home like, they don't really fit.
Then you got to go back to the mall and return them.
Yeah, so I'm walking around Century City Mall if anybody wants to.
Oh, nice.
That's what,
visualize
Waddle,
that.
did you used to go there when you
I
were-
think so, yeah, back in the day.
Did you stay at the Intercontinental, Waddle? Is that where they put you?
No, next door. I think it was the Hyatt.
Ah, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, it was a nice place. I liked it.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm going to get back.
Okay,
I'm going to
good.
punt on that one and get back.
All right,
It's not
text.
Justin Fields.
And who's your pick then for the Super Bowl?
The Eagles are the better team, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs only because they always find a way. Not because it's rigged, friends, but because they have Patrick Mahomes and they generally find a way to coach themselves and play themselves out of it. I saw them in person when they came to Cleveland a couple of weeks ago. Hollywood Brown wasn't up yet, but Xavier Worthy scored that day. It was one of the slowest offenses I've ever seen in my life. But they find a way because they have Mahomes and they have this opportunistic defense or dynamic defense. They've actually flipped. They went from a team with a dynamic offense and opportunistic defense to now a team with a dynamic defense and an offense that can get by, which is crazy to say because they only have, a Hall of Famer at quarterback.
George, great stuff. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Are you guys coming down, George?
No, we are.
No?
We'll be at the Combine. Are you going to the Combine this year?
I am
Or we
going
may
to
be
the
at the
Combine.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go to the Combine. Dry fit and steak and brown liquor till 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Very good. Andrew, great stuff.
Thanks, Andrew.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Guys.
And congrats on the first year as the voice of the Browns.
Yes.
There he is. Andrew Siciliano.
I got to tell you, if I'm running the Browns, which I'm not, I don't know. Like Andrew said, I don't know what I'm doing at quarterback, and I got cap issues. I'm taking the highest bidder for Myles Garrett, and I'm going to try to rebuild with what you give me.
My biggest takeaway from the last hour was two really big voices in NFL circles. Greeny, who said that his opinion was the Bears should stay away from any sort of bidding for trading for any of these edges and keep their assets for everything around Caleb. And Andrew's thought was Myles Garrett makes everyone better, makes your team better, makes everyone in the building better. If you can get Myles Garrett, you go get Myles Garrett. Like Greeny's was, are you a Super Bowl winner if you get Myles Garrett? Like to me, if you're closer with Myles Garrett, that's what you're doing. You're trying to build the Super Bowl. There's not one guy you're going to get that says we're a Super Bowl contender now.
No, absolutely not. And again, go back to the 2018 season. If they don't doink that thing, do the Bears go to the Super Bowl potentially? I know that's ifs and buts and candies and nuts, but like, are you giving up quite a few assets? Sure, but that doesn't mean you still can't upgrade your offensive line. And you brought Ben Johnson in and gave him $13 million because you think he is going to get more, not just out of Caleb Williams, but everyone inside that offensive huddle. You need to upgrade your offensive line. There's no question about it. You also need somebody that can get more than 9.7 yards per catch out of DJ. And I trust that Antoine Randall as his position coach and Ben Johnson as his play caller, that will happen.
Yeah, the development part of this will be fascinating, too, with the coaching staff.
Yeah, and listen, factor in the hit rate on the draft over the course of the last couple of years, and I got a little bit of skepticism and a little bit of heartburn.
Yeah, I don't blame
you. If I can factor out a little bit of the risk that goes along with these first-round picks by using them to acquire proven difference-making talent, I'm going to make a call. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to be reckless about it, but I am definitely going to make
serious
calls.
call. Like
Sure.
it's one thing. Like the make the call thing is we're not talking about just making a call or kicking the
so
tires.
that you
We're
can
talking,
say that I made a call.
You're.
I'm like, hey, I'm legitimately interested.
Yeah.
What would it take? Let's start a dialogue.
And then I think he brings up that interesting thing where the Bears have number 10. Like, what other team can offer you the first of the picks that has the headline of number 10? With a team that needs picks, I don't think there is another one.
No, when you look at all the other teams in the top 10, none of them seem like a destination where Maybe
New England?
I was just going to say, could you make the argument with the Patriots and Vrabel wanting a center, a foundational piece for his defense?
Where was he just this past year?
Cleveland.
Yes. So maybe he formed a bond and understands the importance of Myles Garrett, and he could say, look, we got our quarterback. I'm going to get Myles Garrett.
Well, and they can afford, because they have well over $100 million in cap space. They could be a team that could afford to give him a contract extension. That's going to be a pretty hefty price tag.
Yep. 312-332-3776. Who do you agree with? Greeny says no, stay away. Not because Myles Garrett isn't good, just because you have too many needs. And you're not close to winning a Super Bowl in his estimation. Andrew Siciliano says, hey, if there's a Myles Garrett available, he makes everyone in the building better. You go get Myles Garrett. 332-3776. That and Waddle's World coming up next.